It's 2 in the morning. I've collapsed on a bench in the cold, white-lit corridors of Palo Alto General Hospital. My mother's ventilator is beeping at regular intervals, and there's a phone buzzing in my pocket. A familiar name on the screen. Robert Shaw. My boss. I answered. "Mark, the client is waiting. Get to the office in 20 minutes." At that moment, in that hospital, with that tone of voice, I made a decision. I was going to finish him. But not by yelling and screaming. Quietly, cleverly, and with the weapon he feared most, the truth. I'm Mark Stevens. I'm an MIT computer engineering graduate. Right after graduation, I came to Silicon Valley with big hopes, and in a short time, I became one of those famous golden boys. Until Nexus Dynamics and its CEO, Robert Shaw. At first he said, "A team like family." He said, "We'll change the world." You know what the reality was? Slack messages coming at midnight, overtime never paid, an ego that constantly said, 1,000 MIT grads could fill your spot, Mark. Pure tyranny. But Robert had a weakness. He wanted to appear perfect. If that image crumbled, everything would crumble. And I noticed that. At this point, I'm going to ask you something. Have you ever had a boss in your life who didn't treat you like a human being? Write it in the comments. I really want to know. And if you've been watching this video with interest so far, please don't forget to like it. If you subscribe, you'll be the first to learn the next story. Let me continue. My mother was in the hospital, in intensive care. Her condition was serious. I called Robert and said, "I need to take emergency leave." Guess what he said? "Sentimentality doesn't lead us to success, Mark. If I don't see you here within an hour, you're fired." Look, this wasn't just about work anymore. This was a breaking point. I realized it at that moment. I had given all my effort to this man, but he saw me like a machine part. And maybe the greatest war in this world is one fought quietly. That night I decided I would destroy his pressure and ego. But he would never see that it was me. I didn't resign. On the contrary, I worked even harder. I acted like a more loyal employee. This way my access increased. I examined Slack channels, emails, internal documents. Everything was there. Small lies, big violations. For example, features promised to clients but never implemented. Mountains of difference between real revenue reports and investor presentations. Files with ideas stolen from competitor companies. And worst of all, records of his belittling, discriminatory remarks against employees. Yes, records. Accidentally left open microphones, forgotten video recordings, all of it. But just collecting documents wasn't enough. You know, documents mean nothing by themselves. You need to get them to the right person at the right time. The plan was slowly taking shape. But I was waiting for my timing. Robert was after a big investment. There was a project called Project Titan. Series B funding round was about to begin. The target was $50 million. Everything was almost ready. That was the moment I would take the stage. As time passed, Robert's trust in me increased, because I was playing the role of the super loyal employee he wanted perfectly. I was at the office at 6 in the morning, still showing as active on Slack at 1 at night, with tired eyes, but always smiling. But do you know what I was really doing? I was archiving each of his lies one by one, not on Google Drive, definitely not on the company server. Without leaving any trace, in a simple encryption system I wrote myself, I was storing them piece by piece. Performance reports, fake ROI estimates, product documents copied verbatim from competitor companies, and most importantly, those belittling remarks he made with arrogance that I recorded in internal meetings. I remember one of them. "A female engineer? She'll last maximum 2 years. Then she'll have kids and leave. I invest my money in those who are useful." This man was seen as Silicon Valley's golden boy, but this was his true face. And then that day came. My phone rang. A call from Vertex Systems, Nexus's main competitor. "We want to work with you, Mark. Can you start immediately?" Contract? Ready. Salary? 40% more. Working hours? Humane. Respect? Actually existed. But they thought I was just a talented engineer. They didn't know that I was also carrying a bomb with me. I submitted my resignation. Robert was furious, of course. "You're my future, Mark. What kind of leaving is this?" he said. He was so used to crushing people that he couldn't even understand a no. But I had only one thing on my mind: the Project Titan presentation. Robert's most important investment presentation of his life. 3 major investors, media there, live broadcast, everything ready. 10 a.m. I'm sitting at a brand new desk in the Vertex office, sipping my coffee. I open my computer, a folder in front of me, rs-ethics.zip. I write just one sentence. Please consider these documents in your pre-investment due diligence process. The file goes to 3 main investors and 1 trusted tech blog editor. Anonymous VPN, disposable email account, metadata reset. Leave traces behind? Never. And then, I wait. My heart is beating like crazy. My hand is on the coffee, but my mind is elsewhere. I don't know what will happen. Maybe none of them will open it. Maybe they'll open it but not take it seriously. But what if they do? Right here, I'm going to ask you something. What do you think about such planned revenge? Do you think it's ethical? Write it in the comments. I'm really curious about your opinion. And if this story has drawn you in, touch that like button now. Your subscription is huge support for us to continue with videos like this. 11:23 a.m. The first headline drops on TechRadar. Ethics crisis at Nexus Dynamics? Leaked documents question CEO's credibility. Then one of the investors makes a statement. In light of new information, we have suspended the investment process. At that moment, there was an indescribable silence inside me. Neither the intoxication of victory nor fear, just the silence of justice. Robert's media face changed. That smiling man was gone now. He wasn't appearing on cameras. Internal correspondence had been leaked. VCs had withdrawn. Within a week, 3 key engineers from Nexus resigned. There was a word trending on Twitter. Hat due diligence. What happened within a week was like a Hollywood script. But it was completely real. Robert Shaw didn't just disappear overnight. No, that wasn't his style. For the first few days, he yelled around saying, "These are lies, slander." He gave statements to the press, said on LinkedIn, "This is a deliberate smear campaign." But the truth couldn't be suppressed that easily. TechRadar wasn't enough. Then Wired wrote about it, followed by Bloomberg. Everyone was asking the same thing. Did CEO Robert Shaw deliberately mislead investors? People from inside the company started talking, first anonymously, then with their faces. One said, "The charts he showed in presentations never matched the reports we prepared." Another said, "Some engineers' ideas were stolen. They resigned but were silenced." Robert was no longer a visionary leader. He was a CEO under crisis. And the strange thing, I wasn't there anywhere. My name wasn't mentioned anywhere. It was as if those documents had fallen from the sky. I was sitting at my desk at Vertex, watching all of this quietly. As I drank my coffee, another news story was dropping on my screen. Project Titan funding round officially canceled. That's when I truly understood. The power of revenge done with information, not code, was completely different. Because code can be taken back. But when a CEO's reputation is broken, once that glass cracks, it's never the same again. The company's value dropped 68% within a month. Employees started turning on the open to work indicator on their LinkedIn profiles one by one. Competitor companies began taking Nexus's clients one by one. The board of directors finally took action. Robert was temporarily removed from his CEO position, but everyone knew this was now an irreversible departure. Right here, I want to ask you a question. Do you think Robert deserved this? Or was this going too far? Write it in the comments. These kinds of topics are actually about humanity, not just the business world. By the way, if you've gotten into this story, I'm really asking you to like the video and subscribe to the channel now. Do you know what the most bitter detail was? Robert was still sharing things on LinkedIn. Posts like working on new visions, providing mentorship for startups. But no one was liking them. No one was commenting. Complete silence. This is like death for a CEO. He had lost his social capital, prestige, credibility, everything. Nexus Dynamics might still be alive, but Robert wasn't in it anymore. And without him, the company was just a shell. And me? I was respected at my new job, truly resting. I could now take time off to be with my mother. No one was accusing me of being sentimental. And most importantly, I was at peace. Because I hadn't risen by crushing someone. But I hadn't accepted being crushed either. You know, after getting revenge, you expect life to suddenly get better. That's how it is in movie scenes. The bad guy falls, the music rises, the main character looks up at the sky and smiles. But in reality, things don't work that way. After the revenge is over, a silence settles in. A strange peace, but there's still a bit of ache inside. Mine was an ache that deepened even more when I looked back at that last night spent by my mother's intensive care bed. Because that night I made a decision, yes, but at the same time I irreversibly lost some things. That's exactly why I want to tell you this. I didn't finish Robert Shaw. He had already finished himself with his own arrogance, his own lies. I just handed him the shovel. Now I'm going to ask you something. Has anyone in your life ever looked down on you, crushed you, and then expected loyalty from you? What did you do? Write it in the comments. If I hadn't leaked those documents, maybe I'd still be staying up at night saying, I wish. But now, at least there's a piece of balance inside me. My career at Vertex grew, but what I really gained was something else. People started saying to me, you're like a quiet leader. Because I was talking less now, listening more. And I wasn't just writing good code anymore. I knew the value of working with good people. Investors who once trembled at his name now didn't even want to hear his name. This was the real loss. Trust. And trust couldn't be regained. And me? One day when I was standing by my mother's gravestone, I looked at the phone in my pocket. There was no Slack notification, no one yelling, "Where are you, Mark?" There was just me. And peace. And that day I understood this. Revenge sometimes doesn't bring things back, but it takes you one step forward. Some people don't experience accountability in courtrooms, but when looking in the mirror. And sometimes, the most powerful weapon is the truth within silence. If you've come this far, you truly felt this story. Now I'm asking something small but important from you. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and definitely write in the comments. Was there a moment in your life when justice, even if late, found its place? This wasn't just a revenge story. This was a story of awakening. I'm Mark Stevens, and Robert Shaw is now just a profile picture.